first thing that I got to say about the trial, and then I'm going to forget Victor Meldrew. The first thing to say is when we were doing the ink thing, of course the studio audience had close-ups to see on their screens, etc. But when we were recording it, it's the only time ever in the whole lot of One Foot in the Grave we had to stop recording because the audience wouldn't stop laughing. They just kept going and going, and we were trying to carry on. Because the timing of these shows was absolutely particular. And the second thing the second thing I forgot to say was that you can see the trial on YouTube and see how young I look then. So what I just want to talk about briefly, ladies and gentlemen, is about my directing, which is a huge part of my career. I never ever had any intention about becoming a director. That was the last thought in my mind. The idea of encouraging actors to do something, or even telling them to do something, never crossed my mind. But at RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, I went to RADA when I was 27. I came from a very small Scottish town in Greenock, where there weren't a lot of actors. If you'd like to come down and have a chat. In Greenock, there weren't many actors you could talk to about what it was like to become an actor. So I didn't know anything about becoming an actor. And then I came to London. I was working as a medical laboratory technician and working also as an amateur actor. And then I thought, when I was 27, I thought, if I don't try it now, I'll never try it. And RADA, as we call it, RADA, is one of the only schools that will take people over 25. And it still is one of the few schools that take you over 25. So I applied to RADA, and I applied to the Greater London Council for a grant. And I got into RADA with the skin of my teeth, I found out. And also I got a grant from the LCC, the London County Council. What started the directing in a way was, I was very good at mime, because it meant that I didn't have to speak. And I got into a lot of trouble about my Scottish accent from Greenock. We had a very international class in my term. We had an Egyptian, Ahmed Amer, we had an Arizonian, we had a South African, and we had another American. And Clifford Turner, who was the head of voice, the doyen of voice, never really knew who was coming. And he used to be sitting in his desk, and as my class walked in, he used to sort of go. He knew he was in for a bad time with all these accents. So I was good at mime, and in your last term, there is a tradition at RADA, I'm not quite sure, although I'm on the board, I'm not quite sure if it's still going, that the students produce a mime play. And because of my excellence in mime, I used to do a sort of anti-Marcel Marceau mime. He used to do Walking Against the Wind. I used to do Walking with the Wind. And I just flew across the stage. But because of my excellence in mime, I was picked to be the director. And so that was my introduction in a way. Then I went to the Citizens in Glasgow, the Traverse in Edinburgh as an actor, and ended up in the Stables Theatre in Manchester. And that's where I directed my first play. But this time, by the time I got to the Stables, I was directing late night shows because I was an associate director even then. And I knew this writer, Peter Ransley, and I'd found a play of his, and I offered it to the Stables, and they said, well, maybe you should direct it. So I was invited to direct. A lot of young directors nowadays find it very hard to get their first job. But anyway, so I started directing at the Stables Theatre in Manchester. Then I carried on directing, and always still acting. I never gave up acting. I liked the two hats, as it were. And I became an associate director at the Royal Court Theatre in London with Ian Rickson. And that's where I first directed Daniel Evans, who we're going to talk to in a moment. And that was a wonderful job, because that is a theatre I wanted to be a part of when I came to London. The Royal Court was a left-wing theatre interested in new writing. And that was always my passion, new writing, because I thought that's what theatre is about. It's about who we are today, not trying to twist plays to make a comment on today's society. But I've always been absolutely passionate about new writing. Now, there may be a reason for that. Maybe the reason was that no one else had directed it before me, so I couldn't be compared and contrasted. But that's always what I wanted to do. And when I get into the court, eventually, I was absolutely thrilled. And then the regime changed at the Royal Court, and Ian Rickson moved on, and Dominic Cook took over, and invited me out to lunch and said he wouldn't be requiring my services anymore. Lovely lunch. And I said, that's fine, Dominic, I understand, because he wanted a fresh, absolutely. And out of the blue, one day, Daniel rang me up, and we'll talk about that in a moment, because Daniel is going to come on shortly. In fact, he's panting at the bit. He's very upset that he didn't have to come on earlier. So the journey between Sloane Square and Sheffield is a bit different, but I soon warmed to Sheffield. And love being here, and still love being here. I'm now going to invite Daniel on, and you must give him a big welcome. You gave me your first welcome. Down, Daniel. It's wonderful sitting down.
On this beautiful design.
I thought there was a smell of cat's piss. You might be wrong. Did you smell it?
I'm not going to.
Daniel, I'm going to ask you the first question. We're going to have a little chat before we do the Q&A. I'm going to ask you, why do you need funding? Like events like this?
Good question. When I came to Sheffield in 2009, the government subsidy, because the last Labour government used to give quite a bit of money to the arts, the government subsidy for this theatre was 40%, 40. And what is it? 6 years later, it's more like 14. So that's a lot of cuts, and of course every
Does that mean the Conservatives?
There was actually a bit of the coalition for a while. We pride ourselves here on being able to keep ticket prices relatively low, especially in comparison to, for example, the West End, where you can see West End shows in the Lyceum that come to the Lyceum for a half or a third of the price. In the work that we produce in here, you can see them for £1 if you queue up on the day, and young people between 16 and 25 can buy tickets for £5 to see everything that we do in here. We do a lot of work with the community. Just in the summer, I don't know if you saw it, but we did this massive thing in Tudor Square and in the Peace Gardens called Camelot, which involved 150 people in the community, and that's offering them opportunities to learn new skills, not just if they want to go on in theatre, but learn life skills, give them a social life, give them confidence, give them self-esteem. So we want to be able to continue to do all of that work and not be beat by, quite frankly, savage cuts that are being foisted. So we feel incredibly lucky to have people like you as part of our team that can fill a theatre at the drop of a hat. You placed it on a sideboard. No, but we're very lucky because I know we'll be announcing later how much we've raised. You'll be announcing later how much we've raised from tonight. But it's we're incredibly grateful for everyone who's come to support tonight.
Absolutely.
Shall I kick off with my questions to you? Yes. About me and subsidy.
No, I was just going to talk about. I was going to say, why did you offer me the job?
Well, because you mentioned the play that you directed me in upstairs at the Royal Court, which was also one of my favourite theatres, and I had heard about you as a director, and all the actors that you talk to that work with Richard as an actor, they tell you that he's their favourite director. And I had been in one of the play that we did together was written by an American called Christopher Shin, and there was this other, he'd written this new play, and it had the same character that I'd played before in another play of his. And so I was just desperately praying that you would cast me. And so maybe when it came to, and of course we did the play together, and it turns out to be my favourite job ever in the theatre, apart from being artistic director of Sheffield Theatres. And I realised what everyone was talking about, that you were the most supportive, encouraging, kindest director that I'd worked with, and people say that they do their best work as actors when they work with you. And so when I got the job, it's true. So when I got the job here, I knew that I wanted to get a team of people that could help me choose the work and to direct the work. And so you were obviously top of my list. But never did I think when you invited me to come and see you and talk about the theatre and talk about why I wanted you, and then it was amazing to hear you say there and then that you would come, and that was a very, very lucky moment.
I remember the day very well because I wasn't having a very good day. And I got this phone call, it was Daniel, saying, "How would you like to be Associate Director of Sheffield Theatres?" And I said, "Well, who's asking?" And he said, "I am." And I said immediately, "How did you get the job?"
You're not the only person who asked that.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? There's a tradition here of giving actors the leadership.
Yeah, well, the founding artistic director, Colin George, was an actor-director, and two of my predecessors, immediate predecessors, Sam West and Michael Grandage, were actors.
Yeah.
But I guess like you, I'm not stopping acting. One of the things I wanted to ask you was, how do you find managing that? Do you think the acting helps the directing, or vice versa?
Well, I do, of course. I don't think that every director has to have acted. Help.
In what ways?
I know what they're going through. I try never to shout. I try never to lose my cool, which a lot of directors do, of course. I can remember a director who I won't name. We were in a production in we were in a production in Edinburgh, and the rehearsal wasn't going well, and he started to stomp about the stage, going, and I stopped. I was a bit brave. I said, oh, I nearly said his name. I said, Hubert, we know badly. You don't have to walk about there making it worse. So that is, I think it helps. I do, as you know, like new writing. And when I joined, I said, well, I would like to do new writing, which is what has happened in a sense. Although we didn't have any new plays when we first started.
No.
And we did London premiere, which was good. And I directed you in The Pride, which was great. I think it does help, but I don't think it's a necessity.
Some of the plays that you've directed here, I'm thinking, for example, of the last play, I think it was the last play you did, which was Blasted by Sarah Kane in the studio. You seem to be attracted to those the plays that have a dark side. Like in this play, there was, well, a baby died and was eaten, and there was male rape, and it was, we were in a Leeds hotel room, then it exploded, and suddenly we were in the middle of the Balkan War. Why do you think, what in particular draws you to that kind of work? Because it's odd.
You asked me that. We were doing a Sarah Kane season, remember? Now what I want to ask you is, of the plays we were doing in the season, you only showed me one. Blasted.
Yes.
Was that because you thought I couldn't handle the other? Because you're absolutely right.
No, it's because that play, it's a very famous play. When it was done at the Royal Court upstairs, it was, people couldn't really judge it properly because it made front page headlines of the Daily Mail because people thought it was filthy. And now 20 years on, I wanted someone who I knew that was going to be able to re-examine it in a way that could make people take it seriously. And from having worked with you, I know that's what you do, is that you value the writer very, very highly, and you take their words as the map for your productions. And
but I remember saying to you, Sarah Kane started in-your-face theatre, and I consider myself a minimalist, and it seemed a strange collision. But I enjoyed doing it hugely.
I'm sure there are people who saw it who also enjoyed it. Yes, good. I've got some questions here that I feel duty-bound to ask, and then I know we're going to open it up to the House. We've taken some questions from the public and from Twitter. And Ethan Chapples asked, is there one thing in life that you really can't actually believe?
Very good.
I suppose I can't believe that I've almost filled the Crucible Theatre on my own.
And this is from Emily Clark, 81. You've worked with a lot of people, both acting and directing, but is there anyone you haven't worked with that you would like to?
No. I'm going to say Marlon Brando, but he's dead. I did a film with Marlon Brando, which many people may not know. My agent rang me up and left a message saying, I want you to go to a casting with Mary Selway for a film with Marlon Brando. I repeat, Marlon Brando. So I met the great man. She was wonderful. Wasn't it? A wonderful film. Yes. What I love doing, I've got a very good casting director here, Robert Stern, and I love meeting actors who I don't know. when I'm directing, I read every actor I see, even people like Daniel, who's the artistic director of the theatre. I insist everyone reads for me, so everyone's in the same boat. And you can tell a great deal from a reading. I just love looking for new talent. This lady is 81, you said.
Oh no, that's her Twitter moniker. She may well be 81, but I bet she was born in 81.
Okay, I'm going to forget what I was going to say.
This is from. Well, I think his name is Dan, but his Twitter moniker is.
Not a lot of Dans in this.
It's a very common name. This is from the public. It's at DCMCMLXXVI.
I don't really need that.
No, fine. Do you have fond memories of playing Gordon Thorpe in Only When I Laugh?
Oh, yes, I do. I mean, that was a great time. A very good writer, Ronnie Taylor. I was in this hospital series with Jimmy Burlin and Peter Bowles and Kristen Astrolli. And I used to say to the right, I didn't come in very often. I was Mr. Thorpe. That was another thing. Another catchphrase I had to live with. I was always being asked to say "Ficus," because I was always shouting at Jimmy Burlin. And I used to say to the writer, "Can you just write me another scene?" I was so naive. We don't have to broadcast it. I just want another scene we can play at, because I was fed up. But it was very good fun.
Speaking of catchphrases, there's a question here. Do you mind people shouting "I don't believe it" at you in the street? Because people do, don't they?
They do, daily. My technique now for dealing with that is I just walk on and do that. And sometimes I walk on and do. No, it doesn't work. I've had to get used to it. I'm surprised it's still going.
2 rounds of applause today. This is maybe the last question from me, and then we'll open it up to the house. But you are going to direct a play called The Nap in here. And this will be and that's in March, and it's a play set during the World Championship snooker tournament, and it's about snooker and corruption. And this will be the first time that you will have directed in this space.
Yeah.
And are you nervous?
I'm hoping you'll stand by.
How are you?
Can I just add something about those who are here who for my production of The Nap, if you hang on to your ticket stub and have never been here before, you get a 10% discount on your entire booking. If you bring a party of 40, you get a 10% discount.
I think terms and conditions apply. Terms and conditions apply.
Yes. Hold on to your ticket stub. Now, our system knows who you are if you have been here before, so don't try and cheat. You get a 10% discount. There was another competition thing. I know we've got the auction coming up. That'll come back to me.
So you've admitted to being nervous. What do you think are going to be the main challenges? Because I know you like audiences to be up close and personal.
Yes,
actors.
that's why I wanted this to be in the studio. Yes, I do. The great advantage I've got with the snooker play is that for a lot of scenes we've got a snooker table. Since Daniel asked me to come to Sheffield, I've always wanted to do a play about snooker in the Crucible, the home of the World Championships. And we managed to persuade Richard Bean and I go way back. Richard's very early plays. And one of the big regrets of my career is I turned down Harvest. But we may be seeing that next year and the year after. So, I mean, can we say we've got Jack O'Connell?
We can say we've got Jack O'Connell, yes.
Total silence.
Yeah.
I was expecting a round of applause.
Some people might not know who Jack O'Connell is. He won the BAFTA Rising Star Award a couple of years ago, and has just played the lead in Angelina Jolie's film Unbroken, and has just played the lead in the new film directed by Jodie Foster. So he's a Derby boy. We're not going to hold that against him, but he's coming to Sheffield.
Yes, so having a snooker table in most scenes sets me a start, but it's very helpful having to do this. You don't realise quite how wide the audience is. Can you see it here at this side? I can't see anything.
Okay, I think we should open it up to the house. We're going to bring the house lights up. And I know there are people from the fundraising team with microphones on every aisle.
Every aisle.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we, if you've got a question for Richard, why don't you put your hand down now, so that then we can come and find you. And yes, there's lots of people over there. Lots of people here. Yes, so Claire, why don't we start with your question up there first?
Good evening, Richard. I just wondered if you still have a pair of yellow stockings in your wardrobe, and if you might consider auctioning them.
No, I do not have a pair of yellow stockings in my wardrobe. I suppose you're referring to my performance as Malvolio for the RSC.
Yes, which is wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyable.
I did play Malvolio for the RSC, and I went to the Shakespeare Museum place, and this woman came out who was working there, and came up to me and said, "Almost as good." Off I got in there. Oh my God. I didn't know he did Malvolio. Who? No. Derek Jacobi? No. Small man.
Ronnie Corbett. Who?
Ian who? I'll start again. She came up to me and said, "Almost as good as Ian Holmes." More of that one. Next question.
All right, Lottie, you've got one up there. Tom, we might bring the house lights up just a little bit more, please, if that's okay. Yes, what's your question up there?
Firstly, I'd like to apologise because I met you yesterday and I tried so hard not to say it, but the words "I don't believe it" just slipped out, so I'd like to say that.
He said he walked past you yesterday and couldn't resist saying I don't know.
And my question, I've seen you both...
You don't get a question. You don't get a question if you're saying I don't believe it or yes. Go on.
I'd just like to ask, because I've seen you on stage and in theatres, and I've also seen you on TV, which type of work do you prefer, TV work or theatre work?
Well, I don't get much of either at the moment. But I like to vary it. I like to do one and then the other. I think most actors probably want to get back on stage at some stage or other. Oh, sorry. And I like the theatre and I like television. I mean, I've just done A Midsummer Night's Dream for BBC Two, which was a pretty miserable job.
Why?
Well, you know what a three-way is. Three-way is just for the people who don't know. Three-way is...
I really don't.
Three-ways are caravans with 3 rooms in them. a single room for each person. It's considered very good accommodation. So you get a couch, a table, and a fridge, and a toilet. But they can become like a prison cell. And I spent 3 weeks, I played Robin Starveling, a tiny, tiny part of one of the mechanicals, and I spent 3 weeks there, and it was absolutely, I know it was in Cardiff, and I'm sorry. It was miserable. What was the question?
Do you prefer theatre or
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice sometimes in television when you get a very nice Winnebago to relax in. But I love both medium, and I love directing and acting. I've always tried to keep doing both.
Okay, we'll come to you, sir, in a second. Lottie, just come down. There's someone there. Just put your hand up against it. We'll come first.
I don't know how you're supposed to all these people. I can't see any of them.
But if anyone has a question here, just put your hands up now so that Claire can come and find you with the mic. Oh, you've got it there. So, Leah, let's come to your person here.
Hello, Richard.
Hi.
I'm a real fan of One Foot in the Algarve. I love it. And I'm just wondering if it was as much fun to make as it seemed and how long it took.
Well, One Foot in the Algarve was interesting because David Renwick, who we have to thank again for this evening, David Renwick liked the title, One Foot in the Grave, One Foot in the Algarve. That's why we went to Portugal. No other reason. He had a play on words. But it's the only time I've gone to a tropical climate like Portugal and had to wear long johns. It was freezing. It was freezing. I do remember Peter Cook, who was in it. We were having breakfast, and Peter came into the breakfast area, and he looked ghastly. I said, Peter, how are you? He said, I've been trying to find this fucking hotel for 4 hours. And he had been out on one of his benders. It was great fun in many ways. It was a wonderful episode. A lot of very fine writing in it.
Good. Okay, Deborah, I think you've got a question for someone there. And then there's another question here. And then we'll come to you, sir. Here. Yeah. Who's got the microphone?
Me.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Richard. Is it true that Annette Crosby is much more like Victor than you are?
Is it true? Is it true what?
Is it true that Annette Crosby is much more like Victor than you are?
This is a very personal question. Is it true that Annette Crosby is more like Victor Meldrew than you?
Oh, no, I wouldn't hear it. I think the great thing about One Foot in the Grave was that Susan Bellman, who we should mention, the producer, who was the one who persuaded me on, David Renwick apparently wrote One Foot in the Grave for me, which is not much of a compliment. And I said no. Victor was 60 and I was 53, and I thought I was far too young. Which is stupid, of course. But the great thing about it is Susie Bellman cast actors. We had a wonderful company of actors, Annette and Angus Deaton, and Janine Davitsky, and Doreen Mantle. There was no comedians in it. And we were a very solid company. But no, I don't. I think that's a bit unfair.
Okay, yes, you had your hand up before, yes.
Hi, Richard. Just to obviously applaud you very much so in part, your contribution towards film and television. My question would be, obviously you perform very well. Just, perhaps something away from the cameras, sort to say. You very much focus on being from Greenock, and as a fellow Scot, I just wondered, do you go home much? Do you have much family up there, or do you go back home much, or do you see that place very often? Or are you very much focused?
That's a very personal question. I do go to, when I was rector of Glasgow University, I did pop down to Greenock quite a lot, but I go to Scotland quite a lot. I don't get to my sisters as much as I should do, but I love being in Greenock, and I still love walking. Not that I can get up the hills very easily, but I love walking up the cut. But my sister's still there.
Okay, and Leah, we've got another question here.
Is this working?
Yes.
Hello, Richard.
Hiya.
My question is this: if you could have starred in any other British sitcom, which sitcom would it have been, and which character would you have played?
Well, it would have been Yes, Prime Minister. I don't know which character, but I just loved the series. Hawthorne, what's his name? Nigel. And Nigel had this extraordinary command of language with the most difficult things to say. I don't think I could have played his part. But I loved the series. I would have loved to have been in it, even as in a cameo role. That's one of my favourite sitcoms. The other favourite sitcom, I wouldn't have minded a spot in the Fast Show. Where you just come on and say a line and then leave. I love the Fast Show.
Okay, and Claire, you've got someone's there. Yes, hello.
Hello, Richard.
Hi.
Have you ever been off the role that you turned down and then later regretted?
Good question.
Well, I regretted turning down Richard Bean's play, Harvest. Richard said, I directed a few of his plays, and he said, I'm going to write a play about pig farming. And I said, I think that's a very good idea. Because my father, although worked in the shipyards in Greenock, loved farming and used to have friends in the farming community, so I knew a little bit about farming. And Richard wrote this play that the main character started at 18 and went on to 113. And I couldn't persuade him to cut it. But I wanted to do it very badly. As regards roles, I can't think of... You must remember that I'm quite old. So a lot of things I've turned down, I've forgotten about. I honestly can't remember a role that I regretted turning down.
Okay, and yes, here, thank you.
Good evening, Richard, over here.
Hi.
Hello. Just asking, is it possible to get any more of the radio series Believe It? Were you doing any more of those? And also, how much of it was based on truth? And was it enjoyable to do?
How much?
Is it possible to get, is there going to be more of the radio series Believe It? And was it enjoyable to do?
And
is it based on truth? Is that right?
Yeah, it's semi-autobiographical, I think, so I don't know how much is based on truth.
Yes, I think the producer's here tonight, so I have to watch what I say. I think about 4% of it was true. The rest was sheer fantasy. And I loved doing John Cantor's writing. Clive Brill and I, where's Clive? Is he here? There he is. Clive Brill and I were deeply upset that the BBC thought that there should be no more Believe It's. But I think we are hoping to try and persuade the new head of BBC Comedy that it might return. But I love doing it. I just love doing it.
Okay, and Leah, someone's here for the mic.
Hi, Richard. I've got two cheeky questions. First of all, what was it like to film that really special episode of Father Ted? And I also have to know what those nightmares about pastry was all about on Walk on the Grave. I have to know.
What were the nightmares about pastry?
Honestly, I don't remember. I loved it. I was a great fan of Father Ted. And we sort of had spoken to each other, and they loved One Foot in the Grave. And I was very keen to do it. And sadly, of course, Clement died very shortly afterwards. But yes, it was great fun. It was great fun. Okay, what was pastry again? Sorry.
You had nightmares about pastry and you kept mumbling in your sleep. Or the pastry, they're going to get the pastry. And Margaret kept telling you off, shut up about the pastry.
I think that was David's surreal writing. I mean, the great thing about David was that his writing was so multifaceted. Like, you know, I suppose that's what you expect from a man who plays with a yo-yo inside his trousers. Where does that come from? And One Foot in the Grave had a serious overtone. And of course, it's the only series where the main character killed himself. Unfortunately, I was playing him. But I think pastry was just... I do vaguely remember it now. Okay, yes, here.
Hello, good evening, Richard.
Ah!
I was just wondering what your favourite episode of One Foot in the Grave was. Favourite episode of One Foot in the Grave?
Well, I did enjoy doing this one, the trial, because I didn't have any other actors to worry about. No, I'm a great believer in ensemble acting. But the fact that I was doing this alone, it did make life much easier, and I thought it was a very good script. But I suppose the favourite was the one you saw a clip of, although it was miserable to do, was the motorway. I always remember reading the script for the first time, and it was Margaret and I in the car, and then suddenly Mrs. Warboys appears at the back. You think, where's she been? She's just been to the toilet. And that line she had in that clip, they do manage to keep a very good note or something. Priceless. But the problem with that one was that we were filming it in the middle of winter and pretending it was summer. And because it was all on film on this motorway, there was no windscreen in the car. They took it out so they could see us. So that made it doubly freezing. So I was sitting there with my floral shirt with a water bottle between my legs. And we filmed it on the Volkswagen test road. And of course it was a nightmare for continuity because of cars passing. And we had to say, well, let's shoot that again. It meant all the cars had to go back. It was an absolute nightmare, but a brilliant episode. I think that's probably one of my favourites. But the extraordinary thing about David Renwick is that people, taxi drivers in particular, all tell me their favourite episodes, and very often they're different ones, which is a great credit to his talent.
And we've got a question here to our...
Hello, Richard.
Right to
Down here. Down here.
Ah, yes. Hello.
Hi, Richard. I'm sure in your career, your acting career, you've been offered many roles. I'm sure the powers that be, your agents, and writers have gave you different things to do. But going all the way back to when you first received your very first script for One Foot in the Grave, did you believe all the way back then that it would be the success that it is now?
Well, no, because I turned it down.
Did you?
Yeah.
And what do you think he would make of it today, Victor Meldrew, in today's
I thought
society?
I was too young. But I was persuaded. And Susie Belbin, the producer, kept saying to us, I mean, this episode, The Trial, had 18.9 million viewers. Our biggest viewing figures were 22 million for a Christmas special. But the first episode, 5 million. I mean, it wasn't terribly successful. And Susie Belbin kept saying, just wait. This is going to click. And it was, I think, the beginning of the third series. They played the second series again on a Saturday night, I think. It had usually been a weeknight. And that was the sort of the switch. People began to take notice. And it was a very slow burner. But then it became, I mean, Daniel said today during rehearsals that it's very like Beckett. And indeed, he is a sort of Beckett of sitcom. But no, I didn't think it would work. To that extent.
Okay, just a couple more questions then. So here, yes, hello.
Hi Richard. Sutton car program.
Where is it?
Here.
There you are. Hello.
Has your car driving skills improved since the last time you were on a Sutton program? Because I get very nervous when I see a certain Jaguar going past these days.
First of all, it's a Daimler.
I should know better because I'm a member of the Jaguar and Daimler Club.
I thought my Daimler driving wasn't too bad.
You might do, Richard, but I don't think everybody else does.
The previous years, where I was driving these 50-year-old vehicles with gear, I said I'd do another series. It was for a different company. I said I'd do it if I could drive a car that was automatic. So the Daimler must be one of the first. And then power steering. And that's why I was driving that Daimler, I called Denver for some reason.
Is that a reason why you're no longer in another car program, Richard?
Well, I can't say anything, but there are things in the wind. And I think it would probably be a nicer car than the Daimler. It was a lovely car.
Okay, we have a question on the front. Oh, actually, yes, up here first. So we'll come to you next.
Hello.
Where are you?
Where are you?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Richard. I've been a fan of one from the great songs I can remember, and I loved the way Victor complained about, obviously, all the general things in life, but what complaints of his would you agree with that are true, or you'd agree that make complete sense in society?
I suppose I agree with his dislike of litter. It seems to me it's getting worse and worse that the streets are littered with the most extraordinary debris from time to time. Is that what you're asking? What else annoys me? Telephones, yes, as I proved tonight. Noise, because I'm slightly deaf and I have to wear hearing aids. I was in a restaurant last night, and then I asked for a quiet table. I wanted to look at my script, and the noise from behind me was just absolutely extraordinary, and I realized it was a generational thing. So how Victor would have put up with that, I don't know. I mean, the great thing about Victor was that he wanted to work. He wasn't a pensioner, as a lot of people thought. He was made redundant when he was 60. So it wasn't about pensioners. And he was just frustrated and angry at the... And I suppose the reason that initially one of the reasons I turned it down, I thought it was just going to be a series for older people. In fact, older people didn't like it very much because of the title. They didn't realize realise that it was the foot that was out of the grave that was the important one, not the one that was in. And I don't think they liked it, but young people liked it. I think because of Victor's ability to speak his mind. A lot of my fan mail was from younger people. And because no one's mentioned Merlin yet.
I love your resentment. They haven't mentioned your other hit.
I don't know why I said that. Okay, pass.
And probably we should be coming up to our final questions now. So you yes, in the front row here.
Good evening, Richard, Marcus and Stephen here. I'd like to refer back to the question made by someone about Richard's driving prowess. We have the evidence of Richard's driving prowess on our driver, having recently bought his car, old car. I have to say, it's extraordinary. The condition is superb. After 11 years of him driving this. Tonight, raising funds for Sheffield. If anyone wishes to put £1 into the pot, Marcus and I will match it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Daniel and I were talking yesterday, and Claire, who's in fundraising. I thought it might be a good idea to mention that we do have companies who support us with new writing especially. I just wondered if it was possible that maybe companies could join together to... how much does a studio play cost us roughly?
Well, the set probably costs about 15,000. The set for Showboat, for example, Showboat as a production will probably cost, which is our Christmas musical, will probably cost 600,000.
Yeah, but we're talking about the studio, which we're not in.
Yes. so an actor, for example, in the studio would for the whole length of the run would probably be something like £4,000 for one actor.
So
and that's not much because we don't pay big prices.
But then I thought it might be interesting for a group of individuals to join together to back a play, and then it becomes their production.
Yeah, they could have their name on it.
They could have their name on it. And they could have their name, and they could get a couple of tickets.
This kind gentleman in the front row has offered to match any donations. As you leave the auditorium tonight, there will be ushers with buckets. And if you want to give anything further than what you've already given, then fold it and then put it into the buckets.
And what did the last gentleman say? He said
he's going to match it. So whatever we raise.
Well done. Very good. Gentleman last before that one.
We should probably come to a close now, and I know, Richard, you're going to announce how much we have managed to raise tonight, and also how much your script went for and the winning bid. So I think Claire's going to come down and give you an envelope with some figures on.
This is Claire, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to see what this says. An evening with Richard Wilson, a fundraising event for Sheffield Theatres, silent auction script, £700. The name of that person, A-N, Anon. Anonymous. So thank you very much. know how much we've made tonight?
Oh.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Oh, are you giving it to Daniel?
No, I'm giving it to you now.
Total raised. Now, I don't expect someone to match this. Total raised through ticket sales, 16,760. Raised through auction script 700, which brings a grand total of £17,460. Please tell the audience, opportunity to make a donation on the way out of the auditorium, front of house buckets, which Daniel's talking about. Purchase a signed, do you mean the photographs didn't sell? Please purchase a signed headshot of Richard Wilson for £5, signed here at the Crucible Theatre today. That's true. Headshots will be sold on the Crucible foyer red door on the way out. I would just like to thank several people. I'd like to thank Andrew, Dan, Gary, Nick, Tom, Sam, Nick, the technical, well, Andrew Wilcox is not technical, but he was very important in this. Sarah, the stage manager, Sarah, are you there? Would you like to just come on and wave? Sarah? Will never forgive me. Chris, Claire, Deborah, and the fundraising team. You've met Claire and I, who got onto the stage twice. And I would just like to thank you all again, ladies and gentlemen, for coming tonight. It's been wonderful to have you as my guests, and thank you very much.
So, Lord, I'm just here on behalf of everyone here at Sheffield Theatres, and also on behalf of everyone here tonight, Richard, just to say a huge thank you. It's an amazing privilege, and it's our amazing luck to have you as a director and an actor and a friend of Sheffield, from us all with great love. Thank you very much.
Because you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to ask you to do it again. Thank you very much. Bye.
They say I'm martyrs or I face the truth, but I'm just too wrong in the cheek. I started to deteriorate, and now I've passed my own sell-by date. Oh, I am no spring chicken, it's true. I have to pop my teeth into chew, and my old knees have started to knock. I've just got too many miles on the clock, so I'm a wrinkly, crinkly, set in my ways. It's true that my body has seen better days, but give me half a chance and I can still misbehave. 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot in the grave.